Countries don't go bankrupt. They become insolvent and can't pay their debts. We predict that Canada will become insolvent within 5 years. The clock is ticking. We need to make drastic cuts to federal and provincial budgets to avoid insolvency. We are not talking about shaving small amounts off existing budgets, but massive cuts. Canada's gross debt represented 110% of GDP in 2024, and Canada had the fastest-growing debt burden in the G7. Here are some suggestions. Get out of NATO to avoid the 5% defense requirement, $63 billion estimated amount. Cut major military expenditures. Stop buying U.S. arms, including expensive fighter jets. Privatize Canada Post, $1 billion lost in 2025. Shrink federal manpower. It is costing $71 billion in 2025. Cut federal funding of the CBC and Radio Canada, $1.5 billion in 2025. Cut federal funding of equalization payments to the provinces, $26.2 billion in 2025. Cut the Canadian healthcare funding program, $196 billion over 10 years. Cut federal dental care funding. Cut federal daycare funding, $30 billion over 5 years. Cut all corporate welfare funding in the Atlantic, Prairies, Quebec, Ontario, and BC regional funding programs, $1.3 billion. Cut all funding for the government's high-speed rail project, which will never happen due to its extraordinary cost. Declare Canada a republic so we can get rid of 10 wasteful lieutenant governors and our links to the British royal family, savings $12 million. Merge Canada's smallest provinces, New Brunswick with Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland and Labrador. There is a huge disparity in the population size between these provinces and Quebec, Ontario. There would be substantial provincial economies with one legislature instead of 4. Furthermore, these provinces are running up huge deficits for their small population size. Of course, these cuts are drastic. We can no longer look back with nostalgia at our past within NATO, the G7, the United Nations, etc. We will soon end up on a long list of failed states, and no one will be inviting Canada to speak at international events like Davos. Our shameful overspending and incapacity to control our expenses will be on view for the entire world to see. Let's make these cuts ourselves before we hit the insolvency wall. If we do nothing, the above-mentioned cuts will be done under the austerity measures imposed by the IMF. It is better for Canadians to clean house than to ask foreign bureaucrats to do it for us. There is a bright future for Canada if it can clean up its act. It may be acceptable to increase government debt during wars and pandemics, but it is not at all acceptable during peacetime. When we return to government surpluses, we will need to attack the problem of foreign investment in Canada. There are way too many bureaucratic hurdles in doing business in this country. To make Canada more attractive, we need to cut the top-tier federal business tax rate from 15% to 10%. So the total tax rate, including the provincial rate, drops from 26.5% to around 21.5%. This will make Canada more competitive for investor dollars, since business investment has lagged for 2 decades due to our low productivity and the high regulatory burden imposed on companies. If you are worried about debt and government overspending, check out our upcoming episodes. Insolvent in 5 is produced by Cinegraphica Media.